it's going to be the hardest step for me to process mentally, if you will, because I've been big for so long. Um, I just, even right now, sitting here talking to you, the people listening, 220 pounds, I still look at myself as 713 pounds.
Anthony, how did you find Carnivore?
I found Carnivore pretty much out of sheer desperation, kind of one of the things where a guy was kind of forced to make a decision, a drastic decision, regardless of what decision it was. It was kind of on my deathbed to a degree. I was having a bad infection, and I, the weight I was at and the lifestyle that I was choosing, it kind of forced me into desperation. And I can't honestly remember how I found the carnivore diet or where. I just remember doing it. And this was almost 3 years ago now, two and a half, almost 3 years now. Um, and when I started it, I just started it full bore. Yeah, so that kind of what kicked it off. I had 4 years gangrene and a couple kids, wife, and all this kind of stuff, and forced me to make a decision that could do something, not for myself, but for my family and everybody else involved. So that's pretty much how I got involved in it. I don't think if it was for the medical stuff that I was going through that I would have ever have done it, to be honest with you, or even found it. So yeah.
Right. So you had gangrene.
I had gangrene. Yeah, it's a type of gangrene. It's foreigners gangrene. Anybody can get it. You can get it to your next door neighbor. It doesn't hold prejudice to anybody. It's not something that you get for being uncleanly or anything like that. It's just a couple of different bacteria that enter your body when they shouldn't. Specifically for the viewers out there, it's pretty graphic. I won't go into great detail about it because it is graphic. If you want to know about it, look it up. It has to do with a male or female's basic basic genital area in that region. And there's like if I remember right, a 13% chance of survival in that area for it because it is so aggressive and so deadly. There's not a lot of things that could take care of it and to resolve it. It's pretty extensive surgeries to remove everything because they got to cut everything out. So yeah, that's pretty much how I found it there. Yeah.
You were overweight at the time? Like what kind of weight were you?
At that point in time, want to say I was close to around the upper 500s or the low 600s there. Um, what it had to do with me is I was always prone to infections a lot throughout being really morbidly obese. And it was just one of them deals to where I got an infection and it just happened. And it happened really fast. Like, I remember when it happened, the person I was with then at the time um, noticed some stuff and was like, "Hey, this is turning black." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And so, in at first, you don't even feel it. And so I'm like, "This isn't right. Something's got to be going on." So I went to the emergency room. And by the time I got to the emergency room and about an hour and a half later to a level one trauma facility, I don't remember anything from that point on. So that's how, just to show you how fast that stuff moves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um, and so I've spoken to you before. I think at one point you breached 700 pounds. Is that right?
Yeah, my max weight was 713 pounds. I'll never
Wow.
forget that day because when that day happened, I was into a rehab facility and I was getting fitted for compression wraps. I used to have to wrap myself with compression wraps from my toes up to my mid chest here. And they weigh in all this kind of good stuff and things you don't want to do. But I remember looking at that scale and I remember it hitting that number and I was just in sheer utter belief. Like the only feeling I can put to that it would equal is if you've ever, I don't mean to say this, but this is really the only way I can put it to you. If you've ever done drugs or anything like that, the euphoria feeling that you would get initially out of that, that's pretty much how it was. I'll never forget it. And so, yeah, that was my max weight, 713 pounds.
Just decided that's it. I've got to do something about this. And Carnivore
Well,
first choice, or did you try other things first?
I have tried virtually anything you can think of. To be honest with you, from the extremes to just your normal everyday dieting, depression, not knowing what to do. Um, that pushes the guy into that aspect. And so when I did carnivore, it, like I told you, it wasn't nothing I intentionally done. It was just something that I just did. And after having the 4 years gangrene, I was in the hospital, and it was just something that I did, Dave. And that's really all there was to it. And I stuck with it. And of course, throughout the process, few years, you fall off a wagon, but you get back on. It was kind of one of those deals. Nobody's perfect. Um, Coming from that kind of a lifestyle, with a sugar addiction, food addiction, depression, all that kind of stuff is pretty much to be expected. So that's pretty much what happened. And from that point to here, and this is where I'm at, 220 pounds now, almost 3 years later, and trying to live my best life that was given to me all over again.
That's amazing. So basically 500 pounds of weight loss. Like,
Close, yeah.
what is a day? How could you compare a day from then to now to right now? Like, it just must be so much more. It just must be so much so different.
When I was 713 pounds, that started about 18 years ago when 17 years ago when she's 18 now. So she was about one. And trying to raise a little girl by yourself, being that big, um, is, is not easy. You have to come up with creative ways to do that because obviously I couldn't move around like you or the average individual. It was kind of one of the things where I would have to. I'm just going to be honest with you, Dan. I had to position myself in a roundabout way in a spot to where how dads do. They listen to to for their kids and what to do and what to don't and kind of thing. And so that's kind of a lot of what that was, and but I always had to be mobile to a point to take care of her, bathing and all that kind of good stuff, feed and all this stuff. So in a way, you know, she helped me to, I don't want to say live, but help me be mobile and stay mobile. Because if it wasn't for her, you know, I don't know where I'd be or what I would be doing. I'd probably be dead. So, and now I have a 10-year-old son, and I'm able to be like this, and I'm able to run around with him and play with him and, fight with him and wrestle with him and do chores, grocery shop, go on trips, whatever strikes to mind. It's totally different to every degree, and I don't want to say easier, but it's so much easier. Like, and so I can't even explain how much difference there is in between the two. It's night and day, to be honest with you. And some things are a million times better. Sometimes are a million times harder. Just like with this, because you're so much more involved in with every aspect. But with that being said, I wouldn't have it any other way right now. I wouldn't choose a damn thing then versus now. Nothing, like absolutely
Right,
nothing.
right. Um, So going back, like when your daughter was 1 year old, at that point, were pretty heavy then?
Yeah, that's when I was at my max weight and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right. What like how did it was it just kind of it crept up on you over the years? It was just like you
No, no. I throughout my whole life, I was a bigger guy, but I wasn't a bigger guy per se. Um, it just happened out of the blue, and I gained so much weight so quickly, to the point they were thinking I had a tumor on my pituitary gland. That turned out it wasn't the case, and so they were thinking I had right-sided heart failure. That turned out it be wasn't the case. They still to this day they don't have no clue why it happened or any other thing of the such, and so I'm left dealing with the disaster of being that big for so long, and so it's we started all out with water weight and all that kind of stuff, and it turned out to water weight, and it turned from that to gaining fat and having water, and it was just a domino effect and something I couldn't deal with. And they were always trying to push bariatric surgeries and everything like that on me. And I kind of thought of it on the sense of if they never knew what the problem was, there's no sense of doing something like that because who's to say it's not going to happen again? And something like that, it's an irreversible kind of thing. You do it, it's done. There's no going back. And so I didn't want to do that. And so years later down the road, here I am, and I'm glad I made the decisions that I made.
So the process of losing with carnivore was just a change with eating? Like, did you a lot of people, like, they get a rebounder or they need to have a vibration plate or things like that. Was it just eating for you?
No, no. When I started doing this, right away, I would exercise, but I would do things like movements and stuff like that, concentrating on moving my arms, being more functional, legs being more functional, being able to walk better. And then after that, I would implement things like resistance bands and stuff like that. There for a while, I was starting to go to the gym, and then as more weight come off, more things started getting peeled back. From being that big for so long. Like I've had reconstructive surgery now on my left foot. I got to have it on my right foot, and there's it's a slew of things that I have to go through to rebuild myself now from everything that's gone on. And so I've had to step away from the gym, but I'm still continuing to do the movement and the resistance bands, stuff of that nature. Um, but as far as like vibration plates and stuff like that, no, I never used nothing like that. When I was that big, I used to have to massage myself, yeah, lymphatically all the time. They would teach how to do that. There's many, lymphatic places on your body behind your knees, armpits, neck, chest area, feet. They're just everywhere. And if you would just massage those, it would help promote uh, them working better, getting rid of fluids and all this kind of stuff. So that's basically what I did. But nothing, not like that. Now I use like I don't know if you've ever seen them or heard of them, but they're like under the desk pedal stationary bikes and stuff like that. I use those for that. It's a Fit Nation one, and it works really well. Um, but yeah, that's about what I use right now. Yeah, for that kind of stuff.
And, what is your menu like on carnivore? Are you eating, like, once a day, twice a day? And what are the meals made up of?
Well, when I first started out at this, is totally different from what I do now. Right now, like I help a lot of people lose weight and try to coach them in the right areas to do these things correctly. And when I first started out, like I said, it's totally different from now. It just really depends on what my goals are, what I'm trying to achieve, and what I'm trying to do at the time. When I first started, obviously my first main priority was to lose weight, and so with this diet, you lose weight appropriately, like you should with this diet. Eating and having a fat intake and the salt intake is very important when it comes to this, and that's pretty much what I did. You eat to lose weight with this kind of stuff. Um, Remember when I first started, like my fat intake was high, and I'm just going to be honest with you on the quantities that I used to eat when I first started. I would literally sit down and eat like 18 eggs, two steaks, and a bowl of hamburger at a time um, per meal. And that lasted for a while. Plus, of course, you stay up on your hydration, all that kind of good stuff, and drinking fluids. And then versus now is I pretty much eat OMAD once a day. I usually don't eat more than that. I don't allow myself to eat past certain times. I don't eat beginning past the time. I have certain rules for myself and certain things to stay away from and certain things I can do because I just know my body and what it can do. And that's the cool thing about carnivore is when you first start this, you kind of got to peel it back to a basic level for everybody because you don't know what's what. You don't know what your body can tolerate, what it can, what it can't. And now I know what it can tolerate, what it can't. And so I'm able to kind of play around with what I do, with what I don't. But mainly, I stick pretty strict. I try to stick to mainly beef because, in my point of view, it is kind of the more cleanlier meats out there versus chicken. It's kind of where I'm at right now. I usually stay pretty strict unless I'm trying to do something like right now. I'm stopping my weight loss at 220 pounds because I'm due to be getting a bunch of skin removed up here in the next couple months. And when I get it removed, it'll put me probably closer in the 200 range, and that's pretty much where I want to be. And so that's kind of where I'm trying to stay. So now I'm trying to eat more of a leaner meats instead of like ribeyes, stuff of that nature. I'm trying to go with tri-tip, um, New York strips, some stuff of that nature. Trying to stay more of a lean, but keep my hydration up and all that kind of good stuff. So it seems to be working out pretty well.
So you're having the excess skin removed. Is this the first time you've gone through that kind of procedure?
Oh yeah, this will be the first time for that, most definitely. Uh, they're going to be doing a 360 lift. That's where they pretty much cut all the way around you and fix all the muscle damage and whatnot that's done in your abdominal area and all that kind of stuff, and kind of put you back together the way you should be. Um, so this is my first go around with it, and quite honestly, this is to me, it's going to be the hardest step for me to process mentally, if you will, because I've been big for so long. I just, even right now, sitting here talking to you, and people listening, 220 pounds, I still look at myself as 713 pounds, if that makes sense to you. Just because it's been pounded in my head for so long, and I've lost this so quickly, and things have changed so fast. I honestly had to put myself in therapy over this kind of stuff. So yeah.
Wow. And yeah, I mean, the fact that, you're probably just by having the surgery, you're probably gonna go down to 200 is amazing as well, you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Mhm.
Scared,
So
but I'm pretty excited.
I mean, it's likely gonna make moving around so much easier, like, everything's gonna become so much more fluid, right?
Yeah, I kind of put it in the perspective of like turning on a water faucet, you know what I'm saying? And, having stuff or a beaver dam, blocking it, but you remove the beaver dam and everything's going to move pretty fluidly and pretty smoothly. That's kind of how I look at it. And so like I said, I'm pretty excited, but I'm pretty nervous on the same sense because I don't know how I'm going to process it, and so yeah, I'm pretty yeah.
So, how have family and friends reacted to the change? I mean, they must have noticed in 3 years you've basically dissolved.
Well, the people that I'm around constantly all the time, of course, they see me all the time, so they of course they're very supportive, and the people, like for instance, I moved from my hometown to where I'm at right now in Montana, and sometimes when I go back home, and I see people, the people I've grown up with, and they've literally known me my entire life, I have no clue who I am. Absolutely no clue. And it's kind of comical in a way. And at first, I'm kind of like, hey, man, why are you ignoring me? Like, who are you? It's like, and I'll tell them, and they're like, so I get that all the time. And so that's one thing I've gotten pretty used to. So it's kind of like one of them wishes where people wish, oh, I wish I could be invisible for 24 hours. It's kind of what I get out of it. So it's kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for someone who might be in a similar position that's just getting started,
Hmm.
what was the what when you first got started the 2.5, 3 years ago, what did you notice first? Like, did you notice a feeling just, like, generally feeling better, or was the first thing you noticed, like, some of the weight dropping off?
Well, the first things that I noticed is that, again, I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't able to sleep laying down in a bed for a long time. I would always have to sleep sitting up in a chair. And I remember one time I just got a wild hair at my butt, and I was like, I'm going to try to lay down. And that was the first time that I could actually lay down and go to sleep. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I was always scared of laying down, going to sleep, and not waking up for a lot of different reasons. I won't go into that, but there was a lot of different reasons for it. And that was some of the first things that I found that I was able to do. It was to lay down and to be able to breathe, and just simple stuff that people take for granted every day is like moving your legs in a certain position or being able to roll over um, without grunting or something of that nature, or trying to force yourself to roll over. I know it might seem like what? That's the truth of it all. There was nothing you did or I did movement wise that was easy. Nothing. And that goes from the basic things of going to the bathroom, taking a shower, rolling over, sitting up, hell, moving your leg into a different position. It was all work. So, and that was some of the first things that I noticed is that I was able to do that stuff easier, to breathe better. And that was just the stuff immediately within like the first week of doing this diet. And that's how fast this stuff works and works for you. And after that, of course, it was the weight loss and fitting into smaller clothing and actually being. I'll never forget the day where I was able. I was so big wearing a size 70 pants to where there was only certain places to where I could get clothing, and the clothing that I got was usually joggers or shorts. In 15 years, I remember wearing, I don't know how long it was, but I had to wear nothing but shorts or cut off jogger shorts that I would have to cut off because they wouldn't fit on. Being able to get actual clothes, um, that was just mind blowing for me. And so, yeah, now I have a real bad shopping problem. So, I, yeah, I get all sorts of clothes. My kids cut me off of getting clothing and all this kind of stuff now. So I kind of got a problem now. So with that, so yeah,
Right, so what size pants are you in now?
I'm in a size 32 now pants. Yeah,
Right. Nice.
yeah,
What a change.
it's pretty awesome.
So, has anyone approached you and kind of said, "Anthony, tell me your secret, because I need to do something about my weight, or I need to do something about my depression?"
Yeah, that's been a pretty big thing. Um, at first, friends of mine from back home, they would ask me, you know, obviously because I didn't talk to them for a long time and talk to them out of the blue, and or if they seen me, um, they would ask me what I would do, and it started out real small, just with a couple different people from back home, um, helping them out, telling them what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and all that kind of good stuff. Right now, personally, on almost on a daily basis, I probably help talk to probably closer to around 40 people, um, from all walks of life, from people that were almost as big as me. I haven't found somebody that is was big as me, but pretty close. 650 pounds that recently just found and just started helping. Um, but as of now, I help quite a few people on a one-on-one personal basis. Starting to do webinars. We're having a website built for specifically for webinars to help not platform of people, but people that are interested and want to do this kind of stuff and need the actual help. Um, and I do a lot of personal coaching with people. Now is taking up a lot of time, which is okay. I just want to help people um, do this stuff. And so I have a YouTube as well, with carnivore sensations that I had previously. I stopped doing it, but I'm going to start doing it back up again here pretty quick. Um, I have a Facebook page that we just made for the carnivore, and that's carnivore sensations as well. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I kind of try to make this a day to day deal that I do with helping people. So yeah, people approach me all the time asking me questions and wanting help and all this kind of good stuff, which is really awesome, I think, because there's a lot of people out there that spread a lot of misinformation about this diet and the do's and the don'ts and all this kind of stuff. And the people that approach me are people that really need the help or really want the help. And because it, it takes a lot of gonads to be able to ask somebody to help them and to be, and then because you have to get personal with them on certain levels, and just like we're doing here, and a lot of people just are not willing to do that kind of stuff for obvious reasons, but the people that are willing to do it are dead ass serious about doing this. So yeah, I take pride about doing this stuff. Yeah,
No worries. Well, Anthony, I'll include links to your YouTube and your Facebook in the show notes.
cool.
Thanks so much for coming back on and sharing your story and update. And I hope the surgery goes well, and I hope you'll come back after the surgery and let us know how it was.
You know, I'm planning on. I'm planning on. I really haven't posted a whole lot about uh, weight loss or whatnot, or the progress of the weight loss. When all this stuff is done and I'm healed per se, that's when I'm going to drop it everywhere and try to really get something going with a lot of different things. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that, Dave, because it's going to be kind of like the rewards of a long road about a lot of things. And so, yeah, it's going to be great. Awesome.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Dave, for having me. I appreciate you.